So can you tell me difference between let and where?
Yeah, sure. So basic difference for let and var is var is ES5 feature and let is ES6. So basically var can be hosted and let can't be hosted. And in scope wise, var has a global scope and let has the block level scope. These are the basic differences for the let and var.
Okay. Can you tell me how arrow function is different from normal function and what are the advantages?
Okay, so the difference from arrow function compared to normal function is arrow function is also a ES6 features, and the main difference is how it behaves with this keyword particularly. So that is the main difference. So if we are using the function as a method, that is arrow function as a method inside a class object or any normal object. So if we try to access this keyword inside that arrow function, so it will refer to the global object, basically window object. So like normal function as a object method, it will access this keyword as its lexical values. So that is the main difference.
So what is the advantage of arrow function?
Advantages arrow functions, we can store it in a variable, and we can access that function as a variable in any level of the code. And this is the advantage for arrow functions. And the syntax wise is also it's a bit similar to the all ES6 features which are introduced in ES6, like some array methods and all those. Compared to that, it is similar to in syntax wise, and we can store functions in a variable with that.
Okay. Can you tell me difference between map, filter, and find method?
Okay, so map basically it will use to loop through an array elements. If we apply any condition inside that callback function for map, so if it didn't match, in that case it will return undefined. For filter, it will only filter out the values based on the condition which we have written inside a callback function. And find basically based on the condition, it will find the first iteration, whichever match it to the condition, it will return that value.
If it doesn't match?
If it doesn't match means it will return -1, basically a falsy value.
Okay. Can you tell me what is a promise and how it helps? Yeah.
Okay, so promises are nothing but we can say in normal, like in a developer term, if you want to say this means it's an object. So promise, it has three phases, it has either rejected or success or in a pending case. So apart from these, it has another status called finally, and basically that basically final is nothing but whenever it's got rejected or succeeded, in that case final will be executed. Promises it will be for API asynchronous task purpose we can use promises.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can it replace async and await?
Yeah, it can replace. It can replace. Like based on the business logic, we can replace async and await with promises.
Okay. What is the difference between promise.res and promise.any?
Promise dot
Res and promise.any.
Yeah, so promise.any means so it will take the asynchronous API in normal terms, asynchronous calls as an in an array format in a collective way, and it will return if any of those got succeeded. In that case, it will return the response. And promise dot another one, promise dot rest.
Yes.
Yeah, promise dot rest.
Rest. Promise.res.
Promise.rest. Okay. So it will, I'm not sure on this promise.rest. Promise.all settle, promise.any, promise.all. I have not, maybe I have heard in, but in different terms. I'm not getting that.
Okay. So can you tell me what is event bubbling and capturing?
Okay, so event bubbling, basically the name itself says that it's bubbles up the elements or the event listeners. So we have a parent element inside that deep nestedly child elements are there means. So if you click on any of the inner element also, it will bubble up with all the elements triggered as a event listener. And capturing is in a reverse manner. So it will comes from the top to bottom, and bubbling is bottom to top. Like if we throw any, like in normal word, if we want to say this means like if we throw any stone inside a water means it will bubble up. In the same way, in code level also it will work. So to prevent this, there are certain methods, but most oftenly used method is like to stop that propagation. We have a event called stop propagation from the window object for that event listener. So with that, we can prevent this.
Okay. Can you tell me what is the immutability concept in JavaScript?
Yeah, immutability concept in JavaScript is basically like variable which can't be immutable. So for that case, this concept is there. So for basic example, immutability, so we can use for object immutability, we can use the method called object.freeze. So with that, we can't immute the values or certain values from that object. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me the memorization concept in JavaScript?
Yeah. Sorry, memoization.
Yeah, memorization.
Okay, memoization in JavaScript, like so in React, the advanced version of memoization is there. Like use memo is there. For React particularly, there is a React.memo for the components. So with that, we can memoize the components or functions, and with that, we can also avoid the unnecessary re-rendering of the components. So basically, for that, it will be used like for expensive calculation to cache the values based on the dependency elements. So that case, it will be useful.
Okay. What is strict mode in JavaScript?
Strict mode in JavaScript, like basically like JavaScript is single-threaded synchronous language, and like if apply strict mode means for example, so if we have like a variable called num, and if we assign number as a one, which data type is a number, and we can reassign values with the different data types, so it can be acceptable in JavaScript. With strict mode, we can't do that. So like strictly to follow the strict rules, we can use this use strict in JavaScript.
Okay.
Strict mode basically.
Okay. Can you explain the promise chaining concept?
Promise?
Chaining.
Promise chaining.
Yes.
Okay, so promise chaining is basically like the callbacks, the callback hell we can say, or otherwise in different terms for promises, like which returns a promise as a response, and we need to we need to revert another promise from a response, and it will chain through. Like for a basic example, we have API and we are fetching data using fetch API, and it will return dot then as a promise, and it resolves means it will go to another promises. So that is basically a chaining of promises.
Okay. Okay. Do you know what is debouncing and throttling in JavaScript?
Yeah. So debouncing and dethrottling is like we can say code optimizing a concept. We can say in that way. Like for example, if we have a API calls, and like for example, basically it will be used for the search APIs purpose. So user enters like in a fraction of time seconds or fraction of milliseconds, if users enters multiple characters. So based on each character, the API will be hit. API will get hit. So to prevent that, we'll use these two methods. So based on a certain amount of time, it will collect those user inputs, and it will send to the API at a once. So with that, we can optimize the APIs from a front-end level side. Yeah, for that case, it will be used.
Okay. Can you tell me difference between absolute and a fixed?
Relative and absolute, right?
Yes. Yes, relative and absolute.
Okay, so relative is absolute. Okay, so we'll start with absolute. So absolute is nothing but, so if we provide position as an absolute to any element inside a HTML, so what it does is, so it will treat at that position of that particular element from by default as a top left corner. So it takes with position, it will take another two properties in CSS like the direction, that is top, bottom, right, and left. So based on that, the object will move from the window top right corner. And the relative is, so it is related to the its parent element.
Okay.
So based on parent element, it will adjust its position.
How can you make an element align center of that center in that parent?
Okay, so for parent, we need to provide a display property as a flex and align items like vertically center and justify content horizontally center. So both these two will like place an item exactly center to any of the parent.
Okay. How do media queries work in like responsive web design?
Okay, so media queries basically, so for that media query syntax, so we need to provide the minimum width or maximum width. So based on that, behind the scenes or under the hood, so it will calculate the size of that screen. Based on that, it will apply those CSS property. Like if we have like a body, like a container, and that container background in laptop screen should be blue and mobile should be red. So it will calculate based on the size. It will like apply those out of any one CSS, it will apply.
Okay. Okay. Let's have some React questions. What is the difference between element and component in React?
Okay, so in components, basically it has logics, JSX and everything. Like element is nothing but basically a single like single tag, we can say, with some content. So basically that will be treated as an element in React.
Okay. So, what are the hooks you have used in React?
Sorry?
What are the hooks you have used in React?
Okay, so there are multiple hooks in React, but most oftenly used hooks are like use state, use effect, use callback, use memo, use ref, use reducer.
Okay.
These are the hooks.
Have you ever used any custom hooks?
Yeah, I have created many custom hooks. Like for API calls purpose, I have used like the custom hooks and some like if multiple components are sharing the same logic, in that case, I have created the component as a hook. So we are use that as a custom hook.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me how to handle side effects in class and functional components?
Okay, so in functional components, basically to handle the side effects, we have a use effect hook. So with that, we can handle. In class-based component, basically there is an like a lifecycle method called component did mount. So with that, we can handle. Basically, both do the same work, but in a different environment, like class and function-based component.
Okay. What is a higher order component? Could you please explain with an
Yeah.
example?
So HOC, basically higher order components are nothing but it's similar to the components only, but the extra advantage of that is like it will receive component as a parameter, and in return it will return a component as a new. In return it will return a new component. So the most use cases of these HOCs are in like some proper like we can say like. Some authentication part. So basically for that part, it will be very helpful. Yeah, HOCs are basically nothing but components which takes another component as a parameter or argument, and in return it will return a new component.
Yeah. So where you told the example, where you used?
So for like authentication parts, so like authentication model has some different things like a forget password or new password. So both has the same logic and same UI. So in that case, we can share those logics and we can use this.
Okay. So how do React compares virtual DOM with real DOM?
Okay, so basically, virtual DOM, like React, what it does is like, so it will create a copy of the real DOM, and like in components, any of the things got changed means it will compare those changes, and it will update only those changes to the DOM like node tree structure. So that process is called diffing algorithm in React. So it will compare only the updated changes, and it will update only those things. Yeah, in this way, the virtual DOM works.
Okay. So can you tell me like difference between context API and Redux?
Okay, so context API and Redux, basically both two are used to avoid the prop drilling issues in React. And the main differences are like context API is within the hierarchy of React, and Redux is it's an external package. And like Redux has like two-dimensional data. Like for example, like if we update anything, any values from the store from any of the components, means it should affect on different components. In that case, the Redux will be useful. And like if you achieve, if you want to achieve the same from context API, means it won't be possible. Like under the hood, it updates the only nearest values. Like if we change any values through a component, it will update in that particular component only, because will provide will wrap the components individually with context API, and in Redux will entirely wrap the application in a main root file like app.js with a provider. So that's why like people or developers prefer to use Redux in complex applications.
How do you handle memory leaks in React-based app?
Sorry, how to handle memory leaks?
Yes.
Okay, so memory leaks, like basically, so the as a developer, we need to choose the external package very carefully, because if it has any vulnerabilities, means like anyone can attack from anywhere with that vulnerabilities.
First tell what are the some of the regions of memory leak?
Sorry, what are?
What are the some of the regions of memory leak?
Yeah, reasons of memory leak is as a code level perspective. So reasons for that means so uh, like if we are leaving the console logs as it is in a code level to the production, and it will leak some data through that. We can handle that. And if we are using any browser like storage mechanism, so if we are storing, we need to clear, or while unmounting also, we need to clear some data from caches or some storage like local or session or cookies. So with that, we can avoid.
Okay. So can you give a like better like other better examples except the logs? Like is there any memory leaks happens on API call?
Yeah, there are in each of the concepts there are in for APIs means like like we can inject the APIs through any external way, like external in the sense like we can use some Postman, or that we can inject the API and we can manipulate the data from server.
Okay, but how memory leaks happens? But manipulating data in server.
Sorry.
Then how memory leaks happens in browser? Is but you are manipulating data in server, right?
So in browser, memory leaks happens with like yeah, as I said, like some leaving the console statements and not clearing these like storages in browser.
Okay. How do you pass arguments to the event handler in React?
Event handler pass the arguments, like basically while calling the function inside a parenthesis braces, we can pass the arguments.
Okay. How do you handle dynamic routing in React?
Yeah, so dynamic routing in React, like in main routing components, so we can nest the like dynamic components with a path as in some like with a slug or some IDs, and based on that we can pass those IDs to that. So basically, we can wrap the dynamic route inside a parent route. So and pass the slug or IDs to that. So it will act as a dynamic routing in React.
Okay. Have you ever used React Fiber?
Sorry?
React Fiber.
Yeah, I have used in one of my like personal project.
Okay. What is the use of React Fiber?
Yeah, so basically it will use an extra like access to the React application.
External assessments, how it provides more advantage?
Yeah, it's basically in normal term we can say it is the like a new reconciliation algorithm in React. Like it's introduced with a hooks concept in version 16 and above. Like it basically it's a design. It is designed to improve the performance and flexibility of React rendering processes.
Okay. How can you re-render the view when the browser is resized?
Sorry.
How can you re-render the view when browser is resized?
Okay, so browser is resized. So yeah, there is an event listener on resize. In a main application wrapper, we can track that whenever whenever it's resized, we can reload the entire window. With that, we can.
Okay. Why you cannot update props in React?
Yeah, it can be basically props we can't update because we are passing state as a props properties to another components. To update that means we need to pass the setter functions. If the property has the state values and we need to update this as a props means we can, but directly we can't.
Okay. What is the purpose of error boundaries in React?
Yeah, so purpose of error boundaries in React basically like if in any case like if our application got crashed, it means so error boundaries has the fallback UI, so we can show to that to the user instead of some random message. So it will create and like it will basically it is a good like as a it's basically user friendly error boundary, and with that we can also track the issues. We can log those issues to any we can make any API like call whenever the site got crashed in any of the user devices. So if it has any logs with some details, and we can get those and we can store it in any like basically database, and we can show that for a debugging purpose.
Okay. Can you tell me what are the benefits of style modules?
Sorry, benefits of?
What is the benefit of style modules?
Okay, so benefits of style modules are the main use case of this is with normal styles with the same classes in different components means, so it will override each other properties, and with style modules it won't do that. Behind the scenes it will create unique IDs to each class. With that, each and individual classes like takes its own properties for the elements. So for that case it will be very useful.